cipher will rewrite the records, and I will vanish from human memory. But the thirst for revenge that I have planted will infest the system!
There were 3. Where's the other?
Very close to you. Still, doesn't feel like this is over, and I'll never be whole again.
If Skullface was right, and a thirst for revenge can turn a man into a demon, then this man on fire just might be what's left of our old friend Vulcan.
Who infected you with the parasite?
Kaz informs Snake that 6 of the kids they have been keeping ran off, and that it may have something to do with Ralph's death, the kid that died when the metal pipes fell on him. He tells Snake that he will give him missions to extract kids as he gets locations from his intel team. Mission 38, Extraordinary. An informant working for Ocelot left a film canister in Spugmay Keep, the ruins that Snake and Ocelot were in when they first arrived in Afghanistan. The film contains information about Vulcan and the floating kid. Snake goes in Spugmay Keep and takes the tape. Again, not much else to say. After this mission, Kaz informs you that there's been a radiation leak on the quarantine platform coming from the testing equipment. According to Huey, there's no need to worry. The equipment causing the leak has been quarantined, so there's so the contamination won't spread. They should be fine as long as they seal off the testing equipment. Cassette tapes. Ocelot reads the information in the informant's films and explains them to you in a tape. The information is what follows. The floating kid was being experimented on in a research facility. The Soviet called him the third boy. Apparently, the abilities we see him using now awoke suddenly en route to Moscow. This is what caused the plane crash we saw before.
Wreckage, but have stated that the reason for the crash was an as yet inexplicable fire in mid-flight. The search has ended with a confirmed death toll of 94 and another.
So this means that his abilities awoke around the time Snake woke up, which is around the same time Vulcan woke up and burned down the research facility. The third boy was easily influenced by other people's biofield, but he's mainly affected by evil thoughts. Of course. Extreme anger or resentment were big ones, as they are big motives for revenge. While he was being taken to Moscow, he was exposed to powerful mental energies coming from someone, and ever since then, he's become sort of an energy generator. You see, instead of him taking over people's wills, since his mind is so vulnerable to other people's thoughts, his ego or personality is easily changed by other people's wills. So he would start to act on others' angers, pretty much becoming a puppet for those people's wills. This means that it's possible that we have never seen the third boy acting out of his own will. Instead, he has been acting out of the wills manufactured by other people's feelings of anger and hate. With this information in place, some things start to make much more sense. Sahelanthropus wasn't developed to have a human pilot, and it never did, but the third boy was always around it when it moved. However, he has no reason to hate you, so when he was controlling it to kill you, he must have been acting out on someone else's will. So let's start from the beginning. After the plane crash, at some point he picked up on Vulcan's brain signals, which is what brought him back to life and gave Vulcan his powers. The barely alive Vulcan was able to move through the powers of the third boy who was acting on the will of Vulcan. Then the third boy appeared again during the mission with the honeybee. There we see him moving Sahelanthropus for the first time, though we don't know it's Sahelanthropus during that time, or even what Sahelanthropus is, or that Sahelanthropus is even a thing. During that time he was acting out of Skullface's vengeful will. In the Devil's House, when Vulcan attacked you, Vulcan was actually being controlled by Skullface. How? Skullface's will was to control Vulcan to kill Snake, and the third boy was essentially the medium with which to do that. So essentially the third boy could give other people similar abilities as him by using those abilities on other people as the initial person sees fit. The third boy is essentially a living, well, as Ocelot said, energy generator. So now we get to when the third boy controlled Vulcan to be crushed under Sahelanthropus' platform and used Sahelanthropus to destroy and kill everyone in its path, including Skullface, and focusing especially on you. This meant it must have been someone who really hated you, but also someone who isn't Skullface. However, whoever it was must have had such an intense amount of anger that it overpowered both Skullfaces and Vulcan, even considering how close to the third boy they were. Well, according to the informant's file, emotion expressed through children's mind affected biofields more intensely than adults' minds. The only child that was anywhere remotely close to the area was Eli. So for some reason, it seems like Eli has an intense feeling of hatred towards Snake, so strong that it overpowered everyone else's in that room and everyone else within a 3-mile range, which is how far the third boy can pick up these thoughts. It's possible that ever since, the third boy has remained hooked on Eli, as just like Shabani caught the third boy's attention, it's possible that the third boy is attracted to children's minds since he himself is a child. So now we know that Eli absolutely hates you and is one angry little fuck. We know it seems like the third boy doesn't really have a set side in this fight. We know how Vulcan came back to life, and we know who was making Sahelanthropus move in every scene it was in. But the question is, who made his powers kick off? The reports gave an exact time and place where the boy's powers kicked off in the plane, causing it to crash. The location was about a mile north of where Snake was hospitalized, and the time was exactly at the time Snake woke up. So apparently, Snake was the reason the third boy powers kick-started. After the crash, the boy was moved to a research lab where Vulcan was comatose. This is where Vulcan's thoughts resonated with him, awakening him through his desire of wanting to kill Snake. Skullface was monitoring both of them, and that's how he managed to find Snake at the hospital, sending in Quiet and XOF to kill you. According to Ocelot, it's possible that even your thoughts affected the third boy as well. Like when he made Vulcan appear after the XOF soldier found you and Ishmael playing dead. Or like when he destroyed the helicopter with a giant flaming whale after Snake woke up from the ambulance crash. To sum it up, it was Snake who woke up the third boy. The third boy was never acting out of his own will. And after being tested on and manipulated by others' will, he was full of anger and hate himself. This is why he resonated with your anger so well. If he ever managed to escape the cycle of being controlled by others' will, it's possible that all he will ever know is hate. This brings up another point. It seems like most of Snake's and Diamond Dog's problems in this game were caused by Snake. If the third boy had never acquired his powers, there would have never been a Vulcan, and no Sahelanthropus, or at least not one that can function so well. Also, Skullface would have never found Snake in the hospital. And remember, he also caused a parasite infection to reach the other villages, and thus kill the soldiers, allowing Eli's rise to take place, and also allowing the Mother Base epidemic to take place. Anyways, back in Mother Base, when Snake makes it back to Mother Base, he sees Code Talker kind of just talking to himself. What he was really doing was talking to parasites. I'm not gonna question it. When Snake interrupts him, Code Talker simply tells Snake,
Eyes on Kazuhira. A message from the parasites.
before rolling away. Side up 145 to 149. Search for the escaped children. Searching for each of the escaped children will yield a tape revealing more information about why they escaped, so I decided to put it all in one go. Not much to say about these missions. You just go where the kids are and extract them, each time getting a tape for more of the story. The first tape reveals that Eli, Snake's possible clone, he must be so proud of him, was close to all the children who escaped. So there's reason to believe that he was the mastermind behind the disappearing act the kids pulled. Kaz says he will question Eli, but Ocelot believes he's incapable of doing it without being too soft on them. However, Kaz believed that Ocelot gets too many kicks out of his torturing methods, so he decided to do it himself. The second tape is Kaz's result from his interrogation. Eli confessed to being behind the escape. He said that the boys wanted to go back to the battlefield because they feel robbed of their freedom. He then threatened consequences if they're all brought back. The third tape reveals that there are handmade weapons hidden in the kids' quarters. Everything from blades made from knives and forks to explosives made with detergent packed with nails. When questioned, the kids blamed Eli. Kaz said that he questioned Eli about it, and he said that the weapons were there because they wanted to be put on missions. Ocelot pretty much thinks that that's bullshit, and demands that Kaz lets him question Eli, as he believes Kaz is wasting his time being too soft on him. They resorted to putting Eli on solitary so that he won't be able to convince more kids of his mentality, after Kaz said that Eli threatened an uprising if all the kids were brought back. The next tape reveals that Eli wants to speak with Big Boss. Apparently, he said, quote unquote, "Bring my father here," which means that Eli himself must know about the Les Enfants Terribles project, which can only mean that he really is Snake's clone. After bringing back the last kid, Eli is shown in the interrogation room with Ocelot. When Eli asks where he is, Ocelot responds with, "Your father is not here." Eli states that he knows all the kids are back, and Ocelot tells him that his weapons have been confiscated and that the kids' quarters are under heavy surveillance. Eli drops his head and begins to cry. Ocelot eases up on him and tells him that he'll get his boys back, and he'll even eventually get to speak with Snake, but he needs to know what he sent the kids to do. Eli tells him that they just wanted to go back home. However, his sobs turned to laughter, and he said that they weren't simply homesick. They were sent to kill anyone who had killed their families, to take revenge on them. Loud bangs can be heard from outside as Eli's laughter becomes more prevalent. He said that he told them that if they get dragged back to Mother Base, they better be ready to face the world as enemies. At this point, he leans back in his chair and begins loudly laughing as the banging gets closer and louder. Suddenly, the room's walls blast open. When Snake gets up, the third boy is seen floating next to him, and then away from him into the room Eli is in. When the smoke dissipates, Sahelanthropus' cockpit is shown next to Eli as he gets inside Sahelanthropus, telling Snake that he's quote-unquote not like him, bidding him farewell and that he doesn't need him anymore. The third boy makes Sahelanthropus float out of the room above the ocean outside. Snake, Ocelot, and Kaz follow, only to see a helicopter with other kids holding a gun up to the pilot, making him drive away. Then, the kids in the chopper, along with Sahelanthropus, fly away with the third boy, and Eli inside of it. As Kaz, Ocelot, and Snake watch them fly away, Kaz wonders if Ralph's death was an accident, or if Eli just did it on purpose to stir the kids up. Mission 51, Kingdom of Flies. At this point, a certain mission is supposed to trigger, except it never made it to the game. The mission is shown in sound clips and concept art, and the long and complete cutscene that came out in a special edition of Metal Gear Solid 5. This mission has Snake trace down Eli's location and attempting to take the kids and Sahelanthropus back, especially Sahelanthropus. Eli and his boys land on an island, and Eli releases the English strain of the virus on the water. The parasite can't survive in salt water, so they won't go out into the ocean, but they can survive in the waters of the island's river. So this ensures that no adults can come into Eli's little kingdom. Eli has made one demand in exchange for Sahelanthropus' nuke, Big Boss's body. Once Snake has finished his mission, Kaz plans to bomb the island with napalm in order to burn all traces of the parasite. Kaz fears that Eli might get infected soon as he is nearing puberty and his voice is starting to change. XOF is after Sahelanthropus and the kids as well, but don't have much luck considering Snake sees dead XOF soldiers killed by booby traps laid down by the kids. When Snake finally makes it to Eli, XOF soldiers have him surrounded, unbeknownst to him, and they prepare to fire. But when they do, the third boy deflects his shots and Eli becomes aware of what's happening, and all the XOF soldiers start hitting Sahelanthropus with everything they got. But the third boy manages to deflect it all. Eli then activates Sahelanthropus and obliterates every single XOF soldier. It is now that Eli notices that Snake is present there, and he opens Sahelanthropus' cockpit in order to talk to him. When Eli tells Snake that he was expecting him, Snake tells him that he's welcome to call his own shots, but at this rate he'll be dead before he manages to do anything. Ocelot asks him if he's planning to fight the whole world, and he asks what's wrong with that. So Eli is definitely not going to budge. He's stubborn as hell, and he has this obsession with being free to do what he wishes, as if there was anything trapping him. Eli initiates a battle with Snake and other Diamond Dog soldiers, including Diamond Dog choppers, after telling his father that he will break the curse of his heritage after killing him. After a long battle, Snake emerges victorious. Snake approaches Sahelanthropus' head where Eli is attempting to escape. However, XOF soldiers appear and try to kill him, but Snake shoots them before they get a chance. Snake is blown back by an explosion which causes him to see colors differently, just like he did in the hospital scene a few times. This causes Eli's red vest to be indistinguishable from XOF's white vests. And in the heat of battle, Snake accidentally shoots Eli while trying to kill off the XOF soldiers. Snake approaches Eli to make sure he's alive, and when he gets no response, he becomes angry at himself and screams. Which honestly would have been a lot more emotionally filled if they would have had any kind of dialogue through the game. But hey, he just learned that Eli is his kid too, so... Anyways, when Diamond Dog's medic arrived, they realized Eli was wearing a bulletproof vest, which Snake could have figured out himself, and that he will be fine. Snake tells him to put him in the chopper, but one of the medics confirms that Eli is showing symptoms of the infection. Eli wakes up at this point and starts laughing. He tells Snake that he was created by Cypher, but he was a flaw, the quote-unquote loser, as he puts it. This concept is explained later in the series, way later. This is why he has such resentment for Big Boss. He feels like he's not a person in his own right, he's just a copy of Big Boss. He says, "I will surpass my father, destroy my father, destroy you." He even says that he will destroy all of Cypher. This becomes Eli's obsession for the rest of his life. When Ocelot confirms that they can't do anything to save him, everyone falls back to the helicopter as Snake points his gun at Eli and says,
"You're one hell of a soldier."
Eli, defiant to the end, yells at him, telling him that he will kill him. Snake takes out the clip from his gun and leaves one bullet in it, saying, "That's right, don't blame yourself, blame me." And he walks away, after leaving the gun with one single bullet in front of Eli. Eli grabs the gun as Snake walks away and points it at him, but then he admits defeat and slowly gets up, aiming the gun at himself. Before he pulls the trigger, however, the third boy appears before him and extracts the parasite out of him before lifting him up in the air, just in time to avoid getting blown up with the rest of the island. He is shown wandering Africa by himself with the third boy, saying,
"Not yet. It's not over yet."
Cassette tapes. In a cassette tape, Ocelot tells Snake that the DNA test they ran on Eli to make sure if he's a clone from the Les Enfants Terribles project came back. It turns out that this whole time, they weren't a genetic match. Their DNA wasn't even close to enough for them to be relatives, let alone clones. Ocelot said that the confusion was understandable considering that it was 12 years ago that the Les Enfants Terribles project successfully made 2 clones. And Eli looked enough like Snake that even Ocelot had to look at him twice. Despite all of this, DNA can't lie. But this begs the question: why is he so obsessed with Snake? How does he know about the Les Enfants Terribles project? And hell, why did he say that he was a result of it? All the answers will come soon. A few missions later, Snake gets a tape from Kaz which explains how Eli managed to take control of Sahelanthropus. Apparently Huey helped him. Huey explains that he was just answering the kids' questions, and he didn't think they would ever try to fix it. ridiculing the idea that a kid could possibly pilot it. Then he explained that it didn't work, which let Ocelot know that he had tried before. When Ocelot brought this up, Huey revealed that he tested Sahelanthropus on his own son. How? At this point, Ocelot goes on a rant about how Huey is just a pathological liar, constantly changing his stories and his lies to fit his narrative, telling him that he's not a victim, he's just fooling himself. Mission 43, Shining Lights Even in Death. After some time, Kaz calls Snake and tells him that there was another outbreak of the parasite in the quarantine platform of Mother Base. A video by one of the soldiers who went in to investigate shows some of the dead Diamond Dog staff suddenly getting up and attacking the soldiers in a very zombie-like fashion. Kaz tells Snake that they have sealed all staff members in so that the infection won't spread. According to Kaz, one of the scientists managed to isolate this strain of the parasite and send it to Code Talker to analyze it. However, Code Talker was at the moment at a loss, as no matter what language it is, the Wolbachia, which changes the parasite from male to female, should have been able to keep any strain of the parasite at bay. He believes that a spy may have brought in a new strain of the parasite. Code Talker explains that this strain seems to show no external symptoms, so somebody could be dying on the inside without showing any lumpy lungs. When the helicopter reaches the platform, Kaz informs Snake that he hasn't been able to reach the rescue team that was sent in, so Snake's mission is to find them and to find out what caused the outbreak and how to cure it. Snake approaches the building where the quarantine is being held, but before he enters, Kaz tells him that they received a transmission from the inside. It was someone who sounded like they were dying, saying,
"It all makes sense now. I win."
However, he didn't know where the transmission came from. They believed this man was behind the outbreak. Snake puts a gas mask on and heads inside the quarantine building. Once inside, what greets him is a hallway. It's hallways filled with blood and dead or dying corpses. Snake mentions that he smells something sweet inside, which was reported by the rescue team as well. Kotako mentions that they can't risk the infection getting out, and if anyone shows symptoms, they have to be executed. Snake replies simply by saying,
"That includes me."
As Snake makes his way through the nightmarish hallways, he witnessed members of Diamond Dog crazed and shooting each other, mistrustful of anyone and everyone, including Snake himself. He also encounters dying members of Diamond Dogs begging for him to help them. All the meanwhile, Donna Burke constantly reminding you that your staff members are dying and that you're losing heroism points every time they die.
Staff member has died. Staff member has died. Staff member has died. Staff member has died.
He also keeps getting unintelligible transmissions, which Kaz says they will try to encrypt or decrypt. When Snake approaches the top rooms, Code Talker informs Snake that some of the messages sent to them say that even Diamond Dog members who barely spoke became symptomatic, so he assumes that this must be a mutation of the parasite. Snake makes it to the top where he encounters the man who sent the messages to them, stabbed and barely alive, wearing thermal goggles which let him see who is symptomatic. When Snake talks to him, he simply says,
"I win. I'm no snail,"
before dying. Somehow this clears it all up for Code Talker, at which point he tells Snake not to let anyone get outside. Apparently, as the infection progresses, the parasite incites the host into wanting to go outside. The sweet smell that Snake mentioned before is a smell the parasites produce, which will attract the birds once the host reaches the outside and cause the birds to eat the flesh from the infected, which will then infect the birds, and then the parasite will be near impossible to contain. At this point, of course, infected Diamond Dog members break into the room Snake is in and try to run outside through a door leading to the roof, which just happens to have a lot of birds circling around it. Snake manages to fight the first one off and shoot the second in the leg before he makes it out the door. However, at this point, even more start coming into the room. 3 of them hold Snake down while the rest start to run outside. Snake tries all he can to fight them off while keeping them alive, but at this point he realizes he has to shoot them indiscriminately. He shoots the 3 Diamond Dog soldiers on him off and turns around to try and kill the rest, but it's too late. They had already reached the door leading outside. However, Kaz calls in a missile strike, which causes them to burn to death, and somehow doesn't destroy the whole platform. After this, even more soldiers start coming in, at which point Kaz tells Snake that he has no choice but to kill them all. Code Talker tells Snake that he should use the goggles he found to detect the infected staff, so that he can be sure he's killing only the infected ones. This was, however, Kojima being a complete asshole, since as you, the player, make your way through the building, killing the infected, it becomes more and more obvious that every single staff member is infected. So Snake, nay, you, have to kill every staff member in the building. Some members become scared as they ask you to help them but realize you're going to kill them.
You're kidding, right?
Some actually fight back and try to kill you. But some know that you have to do what you gotta do and accept death, even thanking you after you shoot them. All the meanwhile, Kaz becomes more and more depressed, and Huey keeps on scolding you for killing your own men, even going as far as saying,
"You're insane, Snake! He was one of your men! You yourself said we're a family! Or was it all lies?"
The last room Snake enters contains multiple staff members arguing about what they should do. When you enter, they all stand straight and salute you, saying that they trust you and leave their fate in his and your hands. Having no option, Snake kills them one by one. However, Snake notices that one of them is uninfected, the sole survivor of the outbreak. Snake grabs him and carries him out the door. Once he's at the exit door, the soldier tells him, "I guess I didn't make it after all." So Snake puts him down and checks again to see if he has the infection. Somehow in the short time it took to get him out of the door, the soldier became infected, so Snake was forced to kill him, leaving no survivors from the outbreak. Before leaving, Snake takes a last look at the bloodied hallway of his quarantine building and falls to his knees in despair. After these events, a service is held in memory of the soldiers by cremating their bodies. Snake stands in front of the flames while his men stand lined up behind him. Kaz assures him that there is nothing they could have done for them and that they are all grateful, but Snake stays quiet. Early in the next morning, the body's ashes are collected inside containers, and Snake stands at the edge of one of Mother Base's platform, ready to spread his men's ashes in the ocean. Huey steps up and berates him for what he did, saying,
"It's your fault! They're dead because of you! They were on your side! I'm on your side! And you turned them all to ashes!"
Ocelot steps forward to stop Huey, and Kaz once again reassures Snake that this is what they would have wanted, as the only other option would have been for them to be burned alive. As Snake is about to spread the first ashes, he hesitates and changes his mind, saying,
"I won't scatter your sorrow to the heartless sea. I will always be with you. Plant your roots in me."
Snake then reaches the ashes. He reaches in the ashes and sprays them on his face, which could be really deep or really awkward, depending on your state of mind. Anyways, when Kaz asks him what they're going to do if not give them a burial at sea, Snake tells him that they will turn their ashes into diamonds and take them into battle with them. They will be shining lights even in death.
We are diamond dogs.